Today I'm going to be making some really yummy chocolate chip cookies. So let's get on with the ingredients. I have a generous 1 cup of chocolate chips here. I'm using semi-sweet chocolate chips. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1 egg. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. 1½ cups of all-purpose flour. 1 cup of brown sugar. And 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. Okay, so for our first step, gonna get all of our lovely butter in there and our nice brown sugar. Okay, I'm just gonna break that down a little bit before we hit it with our mixer. Okay, I'm gonna grab my mixer now and I want to cream this together. Now, the warmer your butter, the easier this process is going to be. So I'm going to continue doing this and I'll be back in a minute or so. Alright, we're back. You can see the sugar and the butter has really nicely combined now. So at this point I've got my 1 egg and I'll get that in there, and that's really going to loosen this mixture up. So you really want to get that really well combined. And then our vanilla, and I'm using pure vanilla here. Vanilla extract. Okay, that's good. And now for our dry ingredients. I'm going to grab a sieve and I'm going to get all of my flour in there, my baking powder, and my salt, just to make it easy. And we'll just give it a little shake, rattle, and roll. There we go. You can just take your hands or a spoon and just push it through. Perfect. Do you have to sift? No, but today I feel like it, so it's always nice to sift. It's fun to do. And now I'm just going to take my mixer and just slowly incorporate this. I don't want to overwork it. I'm just on number 1. Just get that slowly incorporated. Now, depending on your butter and how well you measured your butter or how cold your butter is, if you find at this point your mixture is not going to form little balls properly, because we're going to be making little balls out of this, so I'm going to be scooping this out. If you find your batter is a little bit too dry, you can take a tablespoon of water and just add it to the mixture. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. So I just want to mix this up until it's combined. You can see now it's starting to come together. Okay, you see that? There, it's all coming together now. Perfect. So then I'm going to grab all of my chocolate chips and just get those right in there. Sorry for the noise. And I'm just going to quickly get these incorporated as well. That's perfect, and we are ready to go. Super simple. You can see this is a really fast and easy recipe. Alright, I've got myself a little cookie scoop, ice cream scoop, and my tray, and I am ready to go. So I'm just going to grab some of my dough and I'm just going to get it out there just like that. I want to have enough space in between my cookies for expansion. So I'll just get another one down just like that. That looks good. So I'll continue to whip through these and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push down the cookies just a little bit. Just like that. Not too much. So I've got a fork, the back of a fork, and I'm just giving a little gentle push. You can see how nice this dough is. Really nice. And there we go. So I've got my oven preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to pop these in 10, 12, 13 minutes. I'll tell you exactly how long. If you want them a little bit more crispy, you're going to do them a little longer. I'll let you know. I like them on a little bit on the chewy side. So into the oven, and I'll be back in a little while. Alright, my cookies baked for a total of 13 minutes. I left them in 12 and then I looked at them and I thought, you know what, they need just that extra minute of love just to get a little bit more color to the top of them. And now they look really, really good. You know, it all depends on the size of your scoop of cookie, you know, that you're putting out. If they're smaller, then they might only take 11 minutes, 10 minutes. It all depends on the size. So there we go. I wish you could smell this. They just smell so good. Really, really good. All right, so that's the first batch. So I've got that much left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another tray, whip through those, and I'll come back and show you all of the cookies when they're all baked. All right, my second batch is done. And I did these ones for 12 minutes, just for fun. So you're talking, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, whatever you like. So I just quickly added them up, and there are a total of 24 cookies here. And you can see, I mean, these are a good size, cookie. There we go. And they smell really, really good. This is a really good recipe. I hope you try it out. There we go. Beautiful. All right, I've zoomed in, and I'll just show you how the cookie looks. There we go. And we'll just break into it. And look at this. Really, really nice. These are the first batch, so these are almost cool. And there we go. Really, really nice. Beautiful. Oh yeah, that is really good. So there we have it. Really, really easy chocolate chip cookies. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. "120 grams of salted butter, 50 grams of granulated sugar, 20 milliliters of baking powder, and 1 egg. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For our first step, I have my all-purpose flour here, and I have my baking powder here. Now, if you are using self-raising flour, use the same amount of flour and simply omit the actual baking powder. You won't need it in this recipe, but I'm using all-purpose flour, so I'm adding in the baking powder. I'll just mix that in. And then our sugar, and that's granulated sugar. If you don't have granulated, you're going to use caster sugar. Just mix that up really well, and that's perfect like that. Into our flour mixture, I'm going to add in all of our beautiful butter. And this butter is not at room temperature, it's slightly on the cold side. And now I'm going to do this completely by hand. So instead of using a pastry cutter or a food processor, I'm going to do this all by hand today just to show you a different way of doing this. You want to coat all of those pieces of butter with your flour. And then I'm going to start breaking them down. So you just get in there and have fun. So I'm grabbing a piece of butter and I'm just pushing it with my fingers like this. So you grab and just take your thumb and push. And while you're doing that in the flour, as you're doing that, the flour is becoming integrated with the fat. So you push, and you can do this with both hands at the same time, and just get in there, and you can just go like this. And keep breaking this down until you have tiny little pieces. This is actually very relaxing. You can have your kids help you out. This is very, very fun. And this is how biscuits were made a long time before machines were invented. So get right in there. So just have fun with it and keep going at this until you have all of those pieces of butter have broken right down. Once you have broken down all of your mixture and it looks like this, then we are ready to add our milk. So I'm just going to grab all of my milk right in one shot. I'll grab a fork and I'm just going to start very gently mixing this all together. You can use your fingers as well, but this just saves a little bit of mess on your fingers at the beginning. Let's just keep mixing, mixing, mixing. Okay, once it starts coming together like that, we are ready to put it onto our work surface. Just get it all out. Make sure you get everything out of your bowl. And then you just want to slowly get this into a ball. And I don't want to overwork it. Once you see it start sticking, get a little bit of flour down. And I don't really want to mix this flour into the actual dough. You can use a rolling pin if you wish. I'm not going to today. I'm just going to flatten it out with my hand. You want them rather thick. So that's good. Like that. I've got a little cookie cutter here. I'm going to dip it in flour. And I'm going to start cutting my rounds. And then right onto my tray, back into the flour. I'll just move this so we can see. So each time you want to cut a new one, dip your cookie cutter back into the flour. Gather up your little pieces. Now you can roll them out again if you're using a rolling pin, but I like to just get them all together because I don't like to overwork my dough. We'll do another round. And there we have it. And we got a little extra here, which I won't do. At this point, I have my oven set to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. We are ready to go. We just have to put a little egg wash on the top. So I've taken our egg and put it into a bowl. I'm going to add just a little bit of milk, just like that. And then we're just going to mix this up. And that milk just loosens the egg up a little bit. And then just apply the egg wash to the top of each one of your biscuits. And our last one. And now I'm going to bake these for 12 to 14 minutes in my 425 degree oven. So off to the oven, I'll be back with the final product. Alright, these just came out of the oven. Oh, they smell amazing. So 12 minutes exactly in my 425 degree oven. And look at these. Oh, they look amazing. Really, really nice. So the only thing left to do is to let these cool down and then we'll break into one a little later on. I guess the only thing left to do is to show you what the inside looks like. I'll just show you. Look at how nicely this comes apart. Oh. Can you see the layers? Oh, so nice. Just get it loaded up with some butter. You can have this with a nice fried chicken, gravy. Really, really nice. You can see how flaky. This is just a beautiful biscuit recipe. Mmm. Very, very good. Oh man, that's good. I can't tell you how good these biscuits are. Really, really nice. All butter. Really amazing. I hope you try this recipe out. It's a really fun one to do. If you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe if you wish. I do appreciate that as well. So that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Oh man. That was good. Spoons of sour cream, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and I am using Dutch processed cocoa powder in my recipe today, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 3 tablespoons of granulated white sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, and our last ingredient, 2 teaspoons of red food coloring. And I am using a gel food coloring in my recipe today, but you can also use liquid food coloring. The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm using cake flour, but you can use all-purpose or plain flour instead if you wish. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For our first step, I'm going to get my egg into my bowl. To that, I'm going to add in my vegetable oil and all of my granulated sugar. I'm going to grab my hand mixer, and I just want to start mixing all of this together. So mix this really well till it starts to get a little bit fluffy. You can increase your mixer if you wish. Get some air into your mixture. You can see the color has changed. That's telling you that you're doing a good job. A lot of air has been mixed in there. That's good. And then I'm going to get in our sour cream. And if you don't have sour cream, you can use yogurt or you can use buttermilk. That's good. And then I'm going to get in all of my red food coloring. And like I mentioned, you can use a liquid food coloring as well. I'm using a paste today, a gel. I want to get all of that in there. Okay, that's good. I'll grab my mixer again. Speed number 1. Just get all of that incorporated. Now I'm going to increase my mixer again. That looks good. I'll add in my salt. And now we're going to sift in our final ingredients. So we have our flour, cocoa powder. A little bit of that flour was still in there, just get all of that in. And our baking powder. And we'll just give that a little tap. Grab the back of a spoon and just push this through. Now if you're just using things that are white, you can just use your fingers to do that. But if you're using cocoa powder, you want to use a spoon because it will color your fingers. That's perfect. Grab our mixer and just slowly start incorporating this. Just speed number 1. And I am using speed number 1. I don't want to overwork my batter. Once you think it's mixed, that looks good. We'll just clean off our beaters. And we are ready to fill our pan. What I'm using today is a little heart baking pan made by Wilton. They say it's 4 inches by 1 3/4 inches high. And I have lined it with parchment paper. In some countries, this paper is called baking paper. I'm going to place my little baking tin on a little pizza tray in case there's any spill that happens in the oven. And we'll just get all of this in there. And that looks good. Just going to give it a little tap. And now I'm going to bake this in my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 35 minutes. And here we go, exactly 35 minutes in my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven. And that looks amazing. I got a really nice rise on this cake, which means I can actually have my cake, and then I've got a little piece for myself as well that we're going to cut off later on in our video. But look at that, really, really nice. This is extremely hot right now. I'm going to let it cool down, I'm going to unmold it, and then I'll come back. About 20 minutes after I took my cake out of the oven, I just opened up the little casing here just to allow air in around the cake, just so that we don't have any moisture or condensation buildup. Then I'm just going to simply get this open and pop our cake out. Really nice. So at this point my cake has completely cooled, and I just want to take off the bottom. And then I'm going to level off the top of the cake. I do want to have a nice flat surface for my cake. Look at how nice that is inside. Really nice. Now, you can see that this is a very dark red, and I will zoom in a little bit so you can see this a lot better. If you want this to be really, really vibrant red, you're going to diminish the amount of cocoa that you used in the recipe. So you could drop it by 1/2 and you're going to get much more red looking, but you can see that this is a very, very rich dark red, and I will zoom in just to show that. So I've zoomed in, and I've also brought my studio lights quite close. I just wanted to show you this much closer up so that you can see that really rich red. A really, really nice cake, and you can see nice and moist. So I have a little cooling rack here. I have taken my cake and I've just flipped it over. So this is the bottom that you're seeing right now, and this is the area that I'm going to frost. I've got a little pizza tray here and a little piece of parchment paper to catch my chocolate ganache. And in today's recipe I am going to be using a chocolate coffee ganache, which is really, really nice. If you want to see a video on how I made that, I'll put a link to it in the description box below this video. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. So this chocolate ganache is made with coffee. There is 1 cup of dark chocolate, 1 cup of whipping cream, which is 35% cream, and there is also 1 heaping teaspoon of instant coffee in this ganache. I'm just going to give this a little stir. And you can see how nice this is. Now I'm just going to get this on. Just get all over. And I don't care how much is dripping over the sides because I can reuse it. I'm just going to let it drip. I want to make sure that I get it all covered. So this is a mini cake. Probably good for 2 people maximum. 3 people if you're on a diet. I think that looks good. And then you can take a spatula and run it over the top, or you can just tap it, and that'll usually get it all nice and flat, which I'm going to do now. And I think that looks pretty good. I'll just give it a little spin, and I like that. So at this point, I'm going to pop this into my fridge for about 20 minutes just for it to set up, and then I'll come back. So here we are a little while later. I let my cake chill in the fridge for about a half an hour, and then I just simply moved it over to my serving plate. I'll bring that in. The chocolate that dripped down and went under the cake onto the parchment paper, you can simply take that, put it back into your bowl, and reuse it at a later time. I have a cute mold here. Be Mine, True Love, Hug Me. This is just a little mold, cost me about $3, and I just made some white chocolate hearts before. I'm just choosing which one maybe I don't know, be mine would be nice. And I want to finish my cake off with that. And I just want to get that right in the middle there. I think that looks good. You could go with regular chocolate, but then you're not going to have that contrast. So I think that's fine for that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on here so that you can see this cake a lot closer up. So I've zoomed in, and overall I'm happy with my cake. The only thing, I think I may redo the heart, just re-pour it with more white chocolate and make it much thinner. I find it just sticks out a little bit too much. Other than that, I think it looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to re-pour that. I'll change it out, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to cut into it. I think that looks really cute. So here we are again, and just before we cut into our cake, I just wanted to show you that I remolded the little piece of white chocolate, and I just made it a little bit thinner, and I think that looks nicer on our cake. So I'm going to zoom out and we're going to cut our cake. So let's cut into our really nice cake. We'll just bring that around so you can see it. There we have it. Looks really nice. Let me zoom in. The color of this I would describe as a very rich, dark red. If you want this lighter, you're going to drop the amount of cocoa in my recipe. That will bring it out a little bit more red, but then you get into an area where the cake is going to start looking a lot more fake. I like this color. It's a very, very rich red, but you can change it up any which way you like. I'm gonna grab my fork, and of course I'm gonna have to try a little piece. Ooh, look at that. That's really good. The coffee in the chocolate ganache really brings out that chocolate flavor. A really simple recipe, a fun one to do. I hope you enjoyed this video. Today I'm going to be doing something really fun and really fast, and this is a mini quiche. I've got a little piece of dough here. This is an all butter dough. I've got that there, and I have a 4-inch tin here. I'm going to roll this out. I get a little bit of flour down on my work area. And I'm going to roll this out. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll just check it. That looks great. I will now get that into my little tart pan. This is about 4 inches in diameter. So this is going to be a mini quiche, enough for one person, or maybe two, if you feel like sharing. You just want to go around and make sure everything is nice and even all the way along. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to grab a fork and I'm just going to dock this. I'm going to pop this into the fridge for about 20 minutes or so. This is pretty small. 20 minutes should do it. I'm going to chill this down and then I'm going to come back. So my tart shell has nicely chilled down. All the butter is nice and firm. Really, really nice. I'm going to grab a little piece of parchment paper, some beans, and we're going to blind bake this. I've got my oven set to 375 degrees. I'm going to get this onto a pizza tray. I'm going to bake this about 12 minutes. So I'm going to go do that and I'll be back in a bit. So my little tart baked for 12 minutes at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll just grab my parchment paper. And now we'll move on to the filling. So while we do that, I'm just going to push this to the side and I'll let this cool down. So here we are. You're looking at this and you're saying, what happened? It's already filled with the filling. I had a technical problem with my camera. I thought it was recording and it wasn't. So the last thing that you saw was that I was cooling the actual little tart. What you did not see me do was I put in 1 egg. So I put in 1 egg, 3 tablespoons of milk, and then I put in 3 tablespoons of shredded cheese into here, and then I had some Black Forest ham, some fried onions, and some grilled chicken breast, which I put in there, about 3 tablespoons as well. So I mixed all of that in here, and then I poured it into the shell. I'm really sorry about that. So that whole little sequence is missing. So really, I'm really depressed about that. That's really too bad. So here it is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this now into my 375 degree oven. I'm gonna bake that off and I'll tell you exactly how long I bake this when I get back. So 30 minutes later, here is my beautiful mini quiche. So I baked it for 30 minutes at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And that looks really, really good and it smells amazing. I'm really sad that my camera malfunctioned and you didn't get to see me pouring the actual mixture into the little shell. I'm really sad about that. Here we have it. So that looks really good. It's extremely hot right now. I'm going to let it cool down and then we'll unmold it. Now that our mini quiche has cooled down quite a bit, this is about 20 minutes later, I can grab it. It's still quite warm, but I'm able to pop it out now. So we'll just go around. And then I'm just going to gently push from the bottom and just pop it right out. And there we have it. Our beautiful mini quiche. Really, really nice. I'm really sorry about the footage that is missing. I'll put the ingredients on the screen so that you can see exactly what went into the filling. I thought I would just give this a little spin so that you can see how nice it is. So again, I'm really sorry that my camera malfunctioned on that area where I was pouring in the filling. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. It's risen quite nicely. You can check that video if you want to see me making this dough. Check the end of the video. I'll provide a link for that, for this dough here that I made today. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get my assistant. We're going to roll out this dough, and then what we're going to do for fun, we're going to cut out little shapes with the glass, and we might just use this instead. Just a little metal ring that I got over at the dollar store, and these are like little, you know, pizzas for parties, or you know, kids have fun with them. And anyway, so we'll try that out and we'll see how it we'll see how they turn out. That's a beautiful airy dough, very supple and moist. You can see how nice that dough is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it out, get it nice and large, and then we'll cut some shapes out of this dough. Okay, we're back, and we've put a little bit of flour here. You always want to flour your glass or whatever you're going to cut, just like when you're doing any kind of cookie, you know, when you're using a cookie cutter. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your glass and you're going to give it a little cut. Hopefully it opens properly, cuts properly, and then you're going to put it on your baking sheet. So I'm going to get my assistant to do a few more, and We'll be back. That's a good one. Perfect. I think I have a very good helper here. And one more should do it. Okay, my assistant, now we're just going to move them, space them evenly, just to give them a little bit more breathing room. And then we're going to use my homemade pizza sauce that I made. I can provide a link for that at the end of this video. Alright, what we'll do is we'll finish the rest of these up and we'll come back when they're done. I'm going to be using a chocolate cookie recipe. If you want to see how this was made, I'll put a link in the description below this video. So what I did was I rolled out my chocolate cookie batter and then I used this large cookie cutter to create this circle. For our chocolate mousse filling, I'm going to be using my whipped chocolate ganache, and if you want to see the recipe for that, it will also be in the description box below this video. So for our first step, I have my chocolate chip cookie ready to go. I'm going to take the cookie cutter that I cut the round with, and I'm going to just slide that right on. Perfect. And I have a little piece of plastic here. I don't know if you can see that. This here is the same height as the cookie cutter, and this is made of acetate. And I'm going to get that right in there between the cookie and the cookie cutter. So I'm going to just slide all of that in. I want to make sure that that's in there correctly. So that's perfect. What I have here is some whipped chocolate ganache. This is exactly like a chocolate mousse. This is egg-free. And if you want to see a video for this, I'll put a link in the description box as well. This is a really nice mixture. And I'm just going to simply start piping that onto the cookie base. So I want to get up right against the edges. And I'm just going to start filling all of this in. And that's good. And then with a little offset spatula, I'm just going to get this all nicely smooth. And I want to get right into the corners, right up against that plastic. And that looks good, like that. And now I'm going to pop this into my fridge for about 15 minutes while we work on our last step. We're going to make a nice little chocolate coating for the top. So into my fridge. For our last step, I have half a cup of dark chocolate and 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. This is whipping cream. This is 35%. We're going to mix these together and we're going to pour that on top of our mini chocolate mousse cake. So I'll get my dark chocolate into our bowl. And the reason why we're adding a little bit of cream is so that when the mousse cake is in the fridge and it's cold, the top coating that we're making right now, I don't want it to be pure chocolate because otherwise it's going to crack when it's very cold, and if you try to cut into it, it's just going to crack on you. So I want to make it a little bit more soft, and that's where the heavy cream comes into play. And then we'll add in our whipping cream. So that's just a little bit. That's just going to lighten up the chocolate and really make it all come together. And I'll just take a little whisk and just slowly get all of this together. Now when you're making a typical chocolate ganache, you always want to use a ratio of 1:1. So whatever size measuring cup you're using, it will be 1, and then the other one will be 1. So you're going to do, if it's 1 cup of heavy cream, it'll be 1 cup of chocolate. But in this case, I don't want it that thin. I want it a little bit thicker. Now you can see right now this is pretty thick, and I want to have this a little thinner when I pour it on top of our little mini mousse cake. So I'm just going to heat this on the defrost mode in my microwave just to heat it up a little bit because that cream was extremely cold, and you can see this is really thick and it's going to be hard to pour on top. So I'm just going to heat this a little bit and I'll be back. So here we have it, 20 seconds in the microwave on the defrost mode, and you can see this is much more liquidy now. And now I'm ready to pour it onto my mini chocolate mousse cake. And I just want a thin layer, not too thick. I don't want it going over the top. So I'm just going to get it on there. And then we'll give it a little tap. almost there. And that looks good, just like that. So now we've got to put this into the fridge and let it completely set. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back when it's chilled and we'll unmold it. So our mini chocolate mousse cake has been in the fridge chilling for about a half an hour, and now we are ready to unmold it. And because of that plastic ring that we put around that is between the cake and the cookie cutter, it makes it really easy to lift off. So you just want to gently slide that off, and watch this. And there we have it. The cookie cutter and our mini chocolate mousse cake. Oh, that looks amazing. I'll just zoom in a little bit so that you can see me taking off the little plastic ring. So now we're just going to gently peel off the plastic. And there we have it. Our mini chocolate mousse cake. So let's go over what we have. We have our chocolate cookie base, then we have our chocolate mousse in the middle, and then we have the nice dark chocolate on the top. Really, really nice. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, let's cut into it, so let's do that next. I'll clean my knife. And then we'll go again. Clean my knife again. And then let's see how this looks. Get our plate. And look at that. Perfect. Oh, that is so cute. Let me zoom in. So I've just zoomed in for the last time just to show you what this mini chocolate mousse cake looks like inside. So there we have our chocolate cookie base, the chocolate mousse inside, and then our really nice dark chocolate topping. The video recipes for the chocolate cookie and the whipped chocolate ganache are on my channel, and I'll put a link to both of those videos down underneath the video in the description box. Of course, I'm going to have to try a little piece of this. Oh, that is so good. Light and fluffy, that mousse is, and it just melts in your mouth. And then you got that little crunch from the chocolate cookie base. Really, really good. I hope you try out my recipe. That's it for today. If you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. Oh, that is so good. Mmm. Yum. And a little chocolate ganache on the top. And then a little handmade chocolate decoration for the top, just like that. And that there will be for my thumbnail. And let's just zoom out a little bit. I decided to extend my video just a little bit longer just to show you the piped ganache on the top and a little handmade chocolate decoration as well. So that really is the end of the video, and I'll see you next time.